Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And in today's episode, I'm talking with Ryan and Corey Shalevski from Rycor Landscapes. Ryan and Corey are a couple of brothers who are in business together, and it's pretty crazy when you listen to the episode, realizing how young they are. I think Ryan's 24 and Corey's 29, and the type of things that they're doing in business. Like a lot of people wish that they could sort of achieve some of the things they're doing. Not only the type of projects that they're working on for some great designers, but also having Corey predominantly off the tools and working on the business while Ryan's working in the business. And it was great to talk to them about not only their experience at MIFGS this year, but also a couple of times they've been on the block and how that was and how they got there and if they would do it again. And one thing that they do love about MIFGS is that everyone's sort of in it together and you make a lot of contacts there and everyone's going through the same challenges, and it's good to know you're not the only one. But I love chatting to you two, so hopefully you enjoy this chat with Ryan and Corey. All right, Ryan and Corey, thank you for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. My first question for you, we'll start with you, Ryan, is how did you start in the industry?
So I did my apprenticeship through Chris for Formation Landscapes.
All right.
So I started with him as a young whippersnapper. I started with him when I just turned 16 and did my apprenticeship through COVID and all that, and loved it. I've always been very outdoors and loved the outdoors. So I guess, when we started landscaping, just really enjoyed it. And then I think a year after I finished my apprenticeship, I started East End Landscapes. And then I had East End Landscapes for maybe 2.5 years. And then that was when Corey came on board and we merged as Rycor Landscapes.
So did you finish school and start straight away working with Chris?
Nah, so I finished school. I left in year 10 and started with Chris when I was 16. So yeah, finished year 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So we I was just going to say to that, like growing up, we grew up on acreage in the Yarra Valley on 50 acres, and Ryan's been the type of bloke that's always been just so hands-on. Like he was sort of made to get into a trade, and he's a real craftsman, I suppose, because he's been doing it since he was very young. Like I remember we had a paddock bomb that we used to whip around in, and Ryan was literally driving that when he would have been like, I don't know,
Eight, maybe.
yeah, eight to 10 years old.
I
And
used to have to sit in a booster seat
he was in a
just to
booth.
see over the steering wheel.
Yeah. Always,
yeah,
always on machinery, always helping the old man outside. So I feel like, yeah, some people aren't really made for
Yeah.
school as much, and then just getting out and having a crack at things. Ryan probably has a lot more experience than a lot of other people his age, sort of thing. So
yeah, I was listening to a podcast today, and the guy's got his own business, and his son is 13, and he
yeah,
operates a Bobcat better than what all of his employees do because
yeah,
at that age as well, let alone
yeah,
being in
Yeah.
another 3 years. So
Mm.
yeah, and that was also why I was asking you about, like, because there'd be a lot of parents who understand that their kids that going to school is a waste of time for their kids because you go to school to learn, and and then to get a job. Whereas if you're just going to get a job straight away, then there's no point
Mm.
being at school. So it's good when you know what you want to do. So did you
mm,
know you wanted to do landscaping, or you just got a job thinking, I just want to get out of school?
No, I always knew I wanted to be a landscaper. And I actually did work experience through Chris, and I did a week block with him,
Yep.
and I absolutely loved it. Like I really had a ball, got along really well with them. And then it was really weird. I think Chris just messaged me at the end of the 1 week, and he's like, "Hey Ryan, thanks a lot. Thanks heaps for obviously doing the week work." And he's like, "Oh, whenever you're looking for either more work experience or for a job, like let us know." And I think he was thinking maybe once I finish year 12. And then I said to mum and dad, I'm like, "Oh, it's kind of said like when you want a job, let me know." And we all just sat down on the couch, and mum and dad were like, "Well, you don't love school. The only reason you like going is because all your mates are there and kind of you have to go." And we all just kind of agreed that maybe I'll just try my apprenticeship early. Like I had nothing to lose really. I always loved being outdoors. So I ended up just messaging him back, and I'm like, "Hey, do you reckon I can start like in the next few weeks kind of thing?" So I think I finished the term off at my school and then, yeah, got started with him.
And how'd you go getting to work?
I was very fortunate. One of Corey's mates picked me up and dropped me home every day. He lives pretty close.
All
And then he moved to Ringwood, what was about a half an hour drive.
So he was working with the company as well.
right. The
Yeah,
same company.
Yeah.
yeah. So he would pick me up, drop me off. So it was very handy. And then when he moved house, I had to train to Ringwood and then train home.
All right. So
And then yeah,
how long would that take?
maybe only 20 minutes,
Oh,
probably.
okay.
But then like if mum and dad weren't home, sometimes you have to take the trek home. But yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't too bad.
Yeah, you just do what you've got to do.
Yeah, that's it.
It's no
That's
different
it.
going to school.
But
Sometimes you got to catch multiple buses to get to school.
yeah. It's all about the journey.
And Corey, how did you start in the industry?
Yeah, so I from a bit of a different background, I suppose. So I came from more of the corporate sort of industry, I suppose. I was in like a sales and marketing or like an account manager sort of a role. So I used to I worked for King Chrome, the tool company, and then I spent a lot of time at Husqvarna in the sort of outdoor power equipment, sort of more so almost the horticulture sort of space where you're dealing with mowing and the turf industry and a lot more sort of commercial clients in that regard. So I was an account manager initially looking after all the dealerships in Victoria and Tasmania. And then my last role there was in a national role, but there was a lot of travel involved. And I don't know, I sort of always had this bit of an itch to do something on my own or sort of, have my own sort of business. I wasn't 100% sure what it would look like. Obviously, growing up on acreage, I was always keen on the outdoors too. And I was sort of somewhat in the industry, dealing with a lot of like program maintenance, a lot of councils, citywide. So somewhat in the industry. And Ryan had built up the business to a stage where he had three staff and himself, and Ryan's the gun on the tools and probably wasn't finding time to do all the administrational back-ended sort of stuff. And I was always sort of keen to do something, and we sort of just said to each other, why don't we give it a crack? And yeah, that was about 18 months ago, I think now, or 12, 18 months ago. So it
Is that
hasn't been,
all?
yeah,
Yeah.
hasn't been all that long. And I suppose what we're trying to do, or what we have been trying to do, is trying to build some structure into the business and turn it into more of a business as opposed to just chaos, I suppose. Which it still is chaos. It's tricky, but I feel like we're just trying to build a bit more structure in the business, and yeah, that's sort of how I've come into it.
So do you like listen to those podcasts and or read the books like Built to Sell and that kind of thing? And that is that the type of thing you're trying to implement so that it's like got systems and processes and it could run without you if possible, if needed to?
Joel, I love me podcast, mate. I normally, after work, I'll debrief in the sauna and listen to a podcast. I listen to yours. I listen to the landscaping one that Chris does at Formation does. And then there's a couple of other business ones. So the Profitable Tradie I like listening to and a
Yep.
few other bits and pieces. So I feel like, I don't know. I just love learning and I love the business side of it. So I feel like, anytime I can listen to stuff like that and learn about it, I'm a bit of a sponge for that. So
Yeah. And what year, like how long ago was it you started, Ryan? Like did like went out on your own?
I think I was looking at it before. I think it's about 4.5 years.
When
So
we started at East End.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
in total, and then
Yeah.
we sort of rebranded it to Rycor
Yeah.
for obvious reasons, I suppose.
Yeah.
Part of the reason we did that, actually, a bit of a funny sort of a story, is Ryan did the block. What was that like? Probably 3 years ago
ago. Yeah.
at East End Landscapes, and he had really, really good screen time. I'm not sure if you remember the season.
Absolutely, I remember.
They plugged flat out, and they just love seeing a young guy having a crack. And he didn't get a great deal of business out of it. Didn't The phone didn't pick up a great deal, which some people say that happens anyway. But
Yep.
there was someone that we met in the industry, or someone we knew in the industry who knew the company Eastern Landscapes. And apparently they'd said to him, "Oh, we're getting heaps of work from the block," because everybody thought it was Eastern Landscapes as opposed to East End Landscapes.
Right.
So yeah, that was probably part of the reason.
Part of the reason, but we were also going to like garden supplies and I would go look at statements and I'm like, hang on, I can't pick up 4 meters of crushed rock. Like I
Yeah.
don't have a big enough truck. And I'm like, who's doing this? And then they're like, oh, sorry, it must have been Eastern Landscapes. So I'm like, oh, stuff that. Let's just change it up a bit.
Yeah,
So
I've had that same thing happen to me. And I don't know which company it was, but like I'd get an invoice and it said 4 meters of red dyed mulch. Like
I do not use red dyed mulch, so
Yeah.
that's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it never seems to go the other way. Like it's the same with
Mm.
where I go, they charge like with steel. There's some setting in their computer that like I'll get a sheet of mesh, and unless they physically change it on the computer in front of me, it'll cost $800.
Yeah.
So like, and they sometimes forget to change it. It never goes the other way though. It's never like $8.
Nah,
They
no,
forget to
no.
charge it. Always is more, and it makes me wonder how often I've missed that because it's only if I
Yeah.
open up to every email I get from them and look at the invoice and make
Mm.
sure. So yeah. And where did you come up with East End, the name for that?
My dad has East End painting,
All
so
right.
I couldn't think of anything, and I thought, oh well, let's just go with the family name, I guess, and
Start franchising.
with East End. Yeah, that's it. They also had a company. They never got started, but they took the business name East End Property Services. So I thought maybe if we had East End Painting, East End Landscapes, East End Property Services, we could potentially do like a maintenance business with that. But yeah,
Is there an
didn't.
Eastern painting anywhere?
I'm sure there would be.
Yeah, there'd
I'm
have to
sure
be.
there would
There'd
be.
have to be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a pretty common name in all businesses, I think.
Yeah.
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 And then, so did you, when you started on your own, did you just start, you just like, I'm just going to go and do it myself, so, or did you put on an employee early on?
Um, I think I probably did it by myself for about 6 months. Pretty quickly, you work out you need an apprentice to help, whether it's making mixes or cleaning up or just helping you lift stuff,
Yeah,
really.
packing up, that's the worst. If you have to do it
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So then putting an apprentice on and then just grew from there. I think the best hire was a qualified, getting a qualified trade on. It definitely takes the stress off your lot. So yeah, but then once after I hired my first apprentice, yeah, I got a second one and we kind of just grew from there.
And how did Chris take it when you said you were going to leave?
I think he was very shocked, to be honest. He was very shocked. I, it was through COVID or just after COVID. And I just don't think he saw it coming. I didn't even see it coming to either, to be honest. Like I still really liked working there. I think the COVID just rattled me a little bit, probably rattled everyone. And I think I just wanted a bit of a scenic change. Cooper, our other brother, was running his own business at the time and still is. And I don't know, always had the urge to do my own thing. And I thought, well, why not try it? And obviously the industry was booming back then too.
Mm.
And I had a lot of weekend work lined up. So I thought, why not just give it a shot? Again, what have I got to lose?
Was it a bit of a rude shock going from the type of projects that Formation do to, I assume yours weren't quite the same level at the start?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like at Chris's level, it's all about eye for detail and just spend that extra time getting it bang on. But the jobs I was doing just were little backyarders, really, like a bit of timber edging here and a bit of timber edging there.
Some
So
steppers down the side of the house.
yeah, yeah.
And
Mm.
so how did you start? Did the business start building up like into the better jobs that you're doing now before Corey came on?
Yeah, look, I think probably the biggest job. So when I first started, I subcontracted to Dave Franklin and I did the block in Gisborne with him. It was pre-contestants, before the contestants started, just to give him a bit of a chop out. And from there, I met the builders of the block 9 and 6. And I had a really good relationship with them, just got along really well with them. And after I finished there, I remember Simo, one of the owners, came up to me and said, hey, like, are you interested in doing some of our work down at home? And at that stage, I only had the business for maybe 6 months, so I was absolutely wrapped. And I went on a holiday after that. When I got back, he called me and said, yeah, do you want to quote up this job in East Melbourne and in Cheltenham for us? So I quoted them. I won them both, and they were pretty good jobs. Like they were really good jobs. Like nowhere near as like a good formation detailed job, but it was still like a really high end, nice job.
They were also designed, like they had a landscape design.
Yeah,
They were done by Ingi Jabara, who's
yeah,
a good designer, and they weren't massive, but
no,
they were also still a nice job regardless.
yeah.
She's also a Geelong resident now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did know that. Yeah,
And then the probably the biggest job we've done was a job in Hughesdale. It was for 9 and 6 again, but it was a Steve from Cos Design
Steve
job,
Taylor.
Steve Taylor. And that was, yeah, by far the best job we've done to date.
Did you underquote that one because of the amount of detail in it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I walked in as like what I would have been 23-year-old then doing it must have been a $200,000 job or something like that. And I think the owners just looked at me and went, "Are you capable of this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like just trust me, I'll get it done." And no, they were wrapped with it in the end. We still talk to them and go there. We show a lot of clients through that job, new people we're meeting. So it's really special to have a good connection with them
Yeah,
still.
that's one of those things. Like you might have lost money on that job, but you could spend money on advertising as well
Yeah,
to get
Yeah,
your work. But you spent money on getting that job and doing a good job of it.
yeah.
So then, yeah, you probably got work from it anyway.
for
Oh, we
sure.
definitely
Yeah,
have. I feel
yeah.
like anytime you advertise that, for example, on Instagram or anything like that, like what you post on Instagram a lot of the time is the work that you will end up getting or the leads that you get. So, yeah, anytime we can partner up with designers and obviously Steve Taylor at Cos Design, like we really look up to him and what he
Mm.
does. And yeah, anytime we can sort of partner with him, we grasp it. So,
And formation sending any work your way?
Nah, I think they do a lot of it in-house.
Yep.
Would love to do some, but obviously I think they just keep themselves busy and
yeah.
line up all the work.
We still catch up with Chris pretty
Yeah.
regularly, and he sort of mentors us as well. So got a really good relationship there, and I suppose we sort of look up to what he's done. Like
Yeah.
we really obviously his business is what we sort of want to emulate, I suppose. Like that's sort of the dream. So anytime we can surround ourselves with people
Mm.
that have been there and done that and try and gain knowledge off them, we try and do it where we can. So.
Yeah.
Do you have a business coach or anything, or you just sort of like have got mentors kind of thing to do it?
Yeah, look, I feel like we've always talked about it. And to
Mm.
be honest, yeah, I feel like I listen to every business coach podcast there is. So I feel like I'm almost pinching it all for free. But obviously, there would just be so much knowledge that we could gain from getting a business coach. And we haven't to date, but we have said that we will one day.
Mm.
We sort of said that we wanted to give it another like couple of years and just have a crack at it ourselves, I suppose. But I've got no doubt we'll use one day. And yeah, it'll just be a matter of which one, I suppose.
Are you going to the landscape show?
Yeah, next Wednesday, isn't it? I've got it in the calendar. We're pretty under the pump at the moment. We've got so many, I feel like we've got a fair bit on and big Rhino's going off to Europe in a few weeks. So there's a
Oh,
few loose ends we've got to tie up. So I am hoping, yeah, we are definitely hoping to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, should be good.
Paul Hamilton's going to be there, and that's like in terms of the level that formation is at. That's the same as what Hamilton landscapes were, or probably are still. Just
Yeah.
top,
Yeah,
top of
I
the
listened
tree.
to that. Listened to that last week. That was really good. And I actually, yeah, I was definitely thinking about reaching out to him.
And where are you going to Europe? How long are you going over there for?
We're going for 4 weeks. So we're going to Hungary, Italy, and Macedonia.
Oh,
And it'll be really nice because we're Macedonian. So mum and dad are going up and my grandpa.
yep.
And then on my partner's side, she's Italian and Hungarian, and her mum and dad are going up with their grandparents too.
Oh,
So
cool.
it'll be a nice little family holiday and I guess see where their parents grew up and yeah.
Eyeing off any gardens over there you're going to go check out?
Yeah, I haven't actually had too much of a research about it, but I will need to look into it and try and get someone way.
Yep. Well, if
You'll
anyone's
have to
listening,
ask Pritcho.
Yeah, he's over there at the moment.
he was in Denmark, I know. Has he been into Hungary as well?
I don't know. I was probably generalizing the factors in Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's only small, so he would have seen everything.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's it.
He probably won't share any secrets though.
True.
So how did you get work through sort of the Steve Taylor or the type of works that you're doing now? Did
I
it just
feel
come
like
from luck, or did you actively seek it out?
Yeah, I feel like it's yeah, somewhat a bit of both and a bit of momentum, I suppose, as well. Like I feel like once you get the ball rolling and you do some work on one project for one person, it definitely snowballs into more work, especially I mean, yeah, obviously the level of we yeah, the way that we've been trained in working at formation, like we do really put in a lot of attention to detail on our projects. And even if projects are sort of running over, like we never skimp on it if you're losing money on a project or if you're paranoid about that. Like it's all about getting the project done properly. So I feel like we definitely once we start doing work with one designer, generally it sort of snowballs from there. But at the same time, we definitely love like yeah, I sort of try to reach out to different designers and yeah, try and build a bit of rapport. And I feel like our business lends itself really well to working with designers too. Like I'm predominantly in the office looking after some of the administrational stuff. So I feel like obviously from a client perspective, it means that very quick communication back and we're able to move through everything pretty quickly. But then also with the designer as well, it means that we're able to communicate with them very, very well. And yeah, anytime there's changes and stuff, we're basically straight on the phone or on an email, and we try and make sure that we collaborate with them as opposed to just going and sort of changing it on site. And yeah, we're very mindful that it's sort of their design, and we want to build it to the best of the ability that we can. So
Do you ever get requests for designs?
we do, yeah, from time to time. I wouldn't say it's massive, but it's probably it's yeah, it's definitely it's growing, but it's still not like yeah. When you tell them they have to pay for it, it's generally pretty tricky, Joel. But yeah, we get here and there, but nothing major.
And is it something that you guys would take on yourselves, or you refer that on to a designer who's sending you work, or that you want to send you work?
We've had a few instances where yeah, we'd send it on to a designer, but also we've got what it's been over the last sort of 12, 18 months, we've got a few staff in the Philippines. So we've got one based in the Philippines who's like a pretty much like he does a lot of the accounting, the sales, the marketing, business development, almost like a second-hand man, I suppose. So we've got him. We've also got an estimator for us as well. So they try and take over a lot of the brunt work of the estimating. So we use a few software packages to try and streamline it, because I found myself, I was literally just 60 hours a week. I was just quoting the whole time. So we're reducing that, and I'm still looking over every single quote and spending time on it. It's just not as much time. And then we also have a like a draftsman, I suppose, who it's more so if we're on site and it's more like we need to give the guys construction drawings on how to build something. Generally, we use him for that. But if we do a bit of a sketch for someone on what we want it to look like, he can come back to us with a bit of a plan. But I wouldn't say it's as good looking and glamorous as some of the other plans that come our way from other really successful designers in terms of the information and that sort of thing. But I suppose we don't need it to be highly detailed because our guys know our standards, so they know how to build the stuff. And as long as we've got a bit of a framework there, it works pretty well.
Yeah, speaking of Paul Pritchard, I also had a conversation with him, and he was talking about how when he went from having his own construction crew to being just a designer, he had to put a lot more detail in it so that everyone knew how to build it the way he wanted to, whereas his employees knew, but
Yeah,
someone else needs to learn. So you need to be really specific if you want it to get built the exact way.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah,
two guests in 2 weeks who have got staff in the Philippines. That's must be quite
yeah,
a smart way to do things.
yeah. Honestly, yeah, I feel like it may not work for everyone, and I feel like everyone's different. But for us, I feel like it's been really, really good. It's you've still got another staff member, like you've obviously still got to spend a lot of time onboarding them and training them and everything like that. But yeah, for our business, it's definitely helped us, definitely.
For sure.
And going back to when you joined the business, Corey, like how did that come about? Like what was whose idea was it?
Yeah, it was basically, to be honest, Ryan was just done the block, I'm pretty sure, with Eliza and Liberty, and he was getting fairly busy. Yeah, like pretty busy, and he had three apprentices and him. He would have probably been better off with like a qualified two apprentices and him, because he was really almost trying to make sure that they're busy on site, but then like how are you meant to quote, how you to do everything else. And I remember going around to mum and dad's and yeah, sort of just chatting with Ryan, and he was quoting everything manually off a pen and paper, and he was just really, I suppose, just not enjoying it as much because he wasn't actually doing what he liked doing. And yeah, I just I sort of thought like, yeah, it was a big sacrifice. I was on a steady income and had a company car and all that sort of stuff. But I sort of thought, what's the point in holding off on it? Like if you're going to do it, you just got to do it and jump into it and immerse yourself. And I feel like that was a turning point. And then yeah, once we're in, we're sort of in. Yeah, I feel like it's awesome having your own business, but gee whiz, you ride every bump along the way, don't you? Like I feel like it's our number one hobby. We love it. But yeah, you do ride the highs and the lows. But at least we do it together. I feel like we're really lucky in that regard. And yeah, our other brother Cooper has a really good heating and cooling business. And I look at us and I think far out, like I feel sorry for Coops because there are times where it might be tough and he's sort of brunting it on his own, whereas at least we've got each other to sort of lean on. So definitely helps.
And Ryan, that how many times have you been on the block? Is it just the once, or you've been there a couple of times?
Twice.
And so
Uh,
was that first one with Eliza Liberty,
yeah,
Eliza and
yeah,
Liberty? Is that when you did the burnished concrete outside that got the judges canned?
yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
insane. There was nothing.
yeah,
It was so
yeah.
weird here. Like I think they've changed it since then. That Dave Franklin might do judging of the landscaping maybe, but
He
so
was judging then too.
all right.
Yeah, yeah, and they're like, I think it was Shayna or someone. She goes, "Oh, geez, what's this?" And I think someone's like, "Oh, that is burnished concrete." And they're like, "Whoa, like I don't know if I like that." And it's like, "Are you kidding me? It's like in every single job outside."
It was almost ahead of its time. Like
Yeah,
it was almost ahead of its time. It was awesome, and
mm,
they just tore shreds off him.
yeah,
I couldn't believe
It
it.
was. It wasn't necessarily ahead of its time. Everyone knew it was awesome, except
Yeah,
the
yeah. But
judges.
the thing was, I got called up, I think, a week before we started, and I went in there, and the other landscaper pulled out. So we were out the set of plans, and 9 and 6 said we couldn't do a deck. So this was already all booked in and already locked in. We had concreters starting, and it was going to look cool anyway. So we were keen as for the burnished concrete, and then we just got torn shreds off. So
but the big thing was it was I suppose that propelled almost like like you got a lot of
yeah,
support.
yeah,
Everyone read through the judges, and I
yeah,
feel like everyone does these days. Like it's a very well, it's turned into a reality show, really, the block. So like everyone just reads through all that crap. I think they just read through that, and everyone was like, the amount of messages you got was like
yeah,
flat
yeah.
out.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was good.
And who was the second people you worked for?
Maddie and Charlotte.
So that
That
was
was
like
at
last year.
Cows or Phillip Island.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So that was yeah, pretty good one.
That was a real. I felt like that was a really good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
we got yeah, good feedback. It was
yeah,
massive. I mean,
yeah.
that is the one thing with the block though. Like everyone, it is a reality TV show, and don't get me wrong. I think the producers try and get stuff out of the contestants and stuff, but it is real. Like you have literally you have 6 days to do your landscaping. You have people working on top of each other. It is absolute chaos.
Mm,
Like I think that first week we did like it was everyone put their hours in. It was like between 70 and 80 hours. And that's in what 6 days. Mate, we felt terrible because
mm,
we had apprentices up there and like yeah, I shouldn't say, but we weren't riding them, but like we all together we needed to finish it sort of thing, and they were all so on board. Like it was actually it was just a really good
it was.
being away was awesome because we had the whole team away together, and it was like we were in the slumps because we're literally
Mm,
working from we're working from like 7 until generally like 10 o'clock at night. So everyone was absolutely knackered, but we'd get back to the room and have a laugh and have
mm,
a beer together and just go at it again the next day. So I feel like it's yeah, it's given us sort of thick skin, I
yeah,
suppose, or a good
yeah,
work ethic. Obviously, we don't expect it of the guys every day, but
yeah.
yeah, no, it was good. That was
It was
awesome
really
fun.
good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I find that it's a good experience to have, but they don't want to necessarily do it all the time. They don't want to do it every year or multiple
Mm,
weeks
I
necessarily.
think Joel, that's probably because it's not a great financial decision.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
it probably
it depends how the employees get paid. Like some get paid normal, and but they still don't like working that kind of hours.
yeah,
mm,
yeah. No, it's hard. Yeah, minimal budget. It's like it's really like real life, isn't it? Like on the block, they've got no budget left over, so they basically give you the scraps, and you've still got to. That's the thing though, because it's going on TV. Like it's on you basically, because you don't want to get torn to shreds on TV. So even if they're paying you bugger all, you still have to do everything and buy the materials and make it look good and everything like that. So because you're obviously trying to protect yourself. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. I don't know.
mm.
We got asked again this year, but we said no, it's probably I don't think you'd do it again.
Yeah, I think I got asked by the same people, and I was considering it, but then I heard like last week or something, people said they're about to
Yeah.
wrap up filming. And I was thinking, yeah, I definitely did not have time to be doing that.
Yeah, that's right. They had a bigger run up at it this year. So I think
Yeah.
they had, instead of having like 2 weeks to do it, I think they had like,
6 weeks or 8 weeks or
yeah, a couple
something.
of months,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
but
is a good idea.
yeah, but I wonder whether I was wondering whether that's a worse thing because if it's just 2 weeks, then it's just 2 weeks. Whereas
Yeah.
Mm,
if you've got 6 weeks to do it, you can go and do a little bit, and you'll kind of get lost in there, and you'll
Yeah.
take longer than you would
Yeah,
otherwise.
yeah,
Especially away, like in Phillip Island, we obviously had to cover accommodation, we had to cover everyone's food, petrol to get up there, everything like that. So we just could not, you couldn't afford to do it for 6 weeks, to be honest.
Yeah.
So you'd pretty much have to be a local, or yeah, you'd have to try and hope that the contestants would dip into it with their money, which you wouldn't expect, to be honest. So
Yeah, that's why when I went on there, I wanted to win, so I didn't charge a lot to the contestants because I thought because the more money they've got to spend on stuff, the more
yeah,
chance you've got of winning. So
yeah, yeah.
I find people who treat it like a normal job get into strife and get angry because it's not a normal job.
I
Mm.
know, yeah,
And I tell
definitely.
people that it's actually harder than it looks on TV, whereas you would think it'd be the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually more difficult than what they show.
It's a real false sense of reality too, isn't it, for the average Joe Blow? Because we did get a few calls and stuff after it, and I mean, look, to be honest, the landscape in the backyard that we did was probably a $200,000 landscape, and it was done in 5 days. But on TV, I think they said it was $40,000. So yeah, we had a few calls from some good areas too, and they're like, "Yeah, I've seen you on the block, and I've this budget," and it's like, man, it just doesn't stretch as far as what you probably think.
You
So
know, ask them who their sponsors are as well.
yeah,
yeah,
that's
We've got
it. That's
sponsors,
it.
we can do it.
mm.
100%. Yeah, that's right.
And I saw you were involved this year with a gold medal winning show garden.
Yeah, yeah, we thought we'd yeah, give Paul a hand, and obviously Adam Hompus as well. We do a fair bit of work with Paul. So yeah, obviously we have thought about that. Obviously, I feel like if you're dumb enough to do the block, you're probably dumb enough to do MIFGS as well.
Yeah, MIFGS is a lot easier
Um
than the block.
yeah, yeah, you reckon? Yeah. We did sort of feel that. I mean, we sort of dipped the toe in the water. We had what do we have? Probably three staff there for 80% of the time. So we were still able to have other jobs on at a time, like on the go as well. So obviously still had income coming in and stuff to make sure that the wheels were sort of afloat. But yeah, no, it was pretty awesome. Yeah, it's just a
Yeah,
great. I feel like that just shows and solidifies how good the industry is. Like we were chatting earlier, weren't we, Joel? That it's such a good industry, and whenever you get to catch up with other landscapers or other designers, it's great to just understand that everyone's in the same boat, everyone's going through the same challenges, and yeah, I feel like everyone comes together, and to see how amazing every garden was, like it's almost harsh that it's being judged, isn't it? Because they're all spectacular, and yeah, everyone puts in a real good shift. So
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about it is the people there. Like I reckon if I've ever not got anything to do there, I'll still rock up during the build just to walk around and chat to people just for something to do.
yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good networking thing, isn't it?
So
mm.
what's your plans for the garden show next year? You've got your design all sorted for you, have you?
Yeah, I don't know. Just not sure. I'm not sure. Don't know. We'll see.
Well, design has to be in by next Friday from my understanding.
Yeah, okay.
That's for
It's
the bigger show gardens.
yeah, it's a real tough one, isn't it? Because you have to commit so early, and you just don't know what your workload's going to be like. You don't know how much work, yeah, you've got on, what your cash flow is going to be like, because obviously it is a bit of a financial decision as well. So yeah, it's tricky. It is tricky. We have said part of the reason we helped out is because we did have interest in doing it, and we sort of said it'd be good to yeah dip the toe in. But yeah, we'll see. We'll sort of see how we go, I suppose, at this stage.
The good thing about committing early is that you can start buying plants now, so the cash flow is you can sort of spread it out more and start building some
Mm.
planting stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah, speaking
most
from
definitely.
experience, that is.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
nice.
so how many staff do you have at the moment? What's the breakdown?
In terms of landscapers on the tools, we have seven. So we have four qualifieds. We have three apprentices. In terms of our mix, we generally try and run sort of three projects at a time and have anywhere from sort of two to three across those jobs. And then we have in the office, we have, yeah, sort of myself and three other sort of workers based in the Philippines. And then obviously Ryan as well. So Ryan oversees the construction, and he's always on site, always on the tools, helping out and managing the quality of all the projects. And then I sort of, yeah, try and manage the office stuff, I suppose.
And who goes out to do a quote if someone rings up looking for one?
Yeah, it'll sort of depend. I mean, sometimes both of us, sometimes it's Ryan, sometimes it's myself. Sort of varies a bit, doesn't it? I've probably
Lately it's
been,
been you
yeah, lately
probably
it's
more.
probably been more so me, where yeah, I feel like we've got a fair workload on at the minute, which has been good. Yeah, we try not to keep Ryan off the tools where we can. And in terms of our quoting process, like I feel like we've learned a lot and we've got a reasonably streamlined process now where everything's done through a couple of different software packages. So we use a package called Ground Plan, which basically is used for all the takeoff. So if you've got a set of plans, you can do all your measurements on that. And then that sort of links to another package that we use, which is like our job management software, which is called Simpro. And then basically, yeah, we've got meter rates and whatnot in there, but also obviously it still takes a lot of interaction. But I feel like, I don't know, some of the quotes that we get, a lot of the time it used to probably take, I don't know, sometimes when you're chatting to other suppliers, like 8 hours for a quote, to be honest, and that wouldn't be uncommon. And now I feel like we can probably smash them out in a couple of hours. And then the other good thing about that is once we've done everything on the job, all of our guys, before they go onto site, they sign into the job and the category on the job. So we'll break it up with site scrape, concrete foundations, paving, decking, that type of thing. And they basically just hit go and then just hit stop at the end of the day. And then what we do is we catch up every Wednesday costing sort of session and basically go over, yeah, you can see labor hours and how the jobs are progressing, and then also you can enter all your materials and stuff too. So yeah, find that works reasonable well for us at the moment. So
And did you, like Ryan, were you using those type of apps at Formation, or were there the ones that you're using there that you don't use because you prefer these ones?
We didn't really use that much at Formation. I think we used to use Zero for timesheets, and we're getting into like Trello, Slack. We use Slack a lot. Trello we would use for like checklists.
Yep. I use Trello as well for
Yeah, yeah, it was good. But yeah, not a great deal, I don't think. I think that's all pretty much come from Corey since he's come on board. Yeah, I was all pen and paper when I first started.
I still am.
Yeah. It just gets so hard, doesn't it? When you look at your notes and you're like, oh my God, what have I got here?
Then I print out the design and I have a scale ruler, and then there's scribbling all the way around the border of the design in the white parts, and yeah, it's not the most professional way to do it, but it works okay.
Yeah, yeah,
as long as you find what works for you, really,
yeah,
that's the
Exactly.
thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? I was chatting to a builder just the other day, and I was quoting something up whilst he was on the phone, and I sort of said, "Yeah, so you're still doing it all manually, are you?" He goes, "Yeah, it's just worked for me." I'm like, "Yeah, well, fair enough. Yeah,
mm,
what you got to find what works for you." And some people like doing it, yeah, with technology. Some people would rather do it sort of the manual way. There's no right or wrong answer, is there really?
Yeah, but I'm sure like I could use like it's like I've just started using a Bobcat excavator guy, and
Yeah,
it just blows me away what he can do. Not only so much quicker than what we can do, but I
yeah,
can be doing something else on the site at the same time while he's doing
mm,
that.
yeah,
So
mm,
I've always thought, oh yeah, we could do this ourselves. We'll do the excavation, no problems.
yeah,
But when you actually, you know, do what you should be doing, you think, man, I wish I did this a lot sooner. Because so that's the same thing. Like, yeah, you can do your own excavation, or you can quote with a piece of pen and paper.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure if I did it using a program, I would think, man, I wish I did this 10 years ago.
yeah,
We do that too. So all of our site cuts these days, we're using an excavation company, and we had one today. We had a site cut in Malvern, and mate, honestly, we did a 1 week site cut in a day.
Yeah,
Really, like you have all the right machinery there, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper as well, and it's not backbreaking for the guys. So we really do try and protect our guys. Obviously, being a very labor intensive job, we try and protect them when we can. So that was one of the big things that we said to each other. We want to make sure that we yeah, try and make sure that they've got a long career in landscaping. So anywhere where we can try and help them out and make sure it's not so strenuous, we do try and do that. So
have you got any machines that help with that of your own?
yeah,
we got a cat excavator and just a little tipper truck.
Yep. What
Yeah,
size excavator is it?
just a 1.8.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, so just big enough to tow around, and I think would like to look at one of the motorized barrows, the one
Oh
you
yeah.
behind. They're pretty handy. We're using one today, and you can fit I think it's about a quarter meter in it at a time.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Is that like a dump, like
yeah, like the little dump
a track
dump
loader?
trucks. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
lot safer than a bobcat. yeah, if I guess if you got your workers in it, they're not going to be driving down a laneway and potentially hitting a house or hitting a fence or potentially rolling it or so.
So is that
And you,
one like do you stand on it?
yeah, so you
Yep.
stand behind it, and you almost drive it like a little dingo.
Yeah, yeah.
All your controllers are here. You can get one lift up, so if you're
Yep.
filling a bin, they can lift up into a bin or lift up into a little tipper truck. So I think for all the tight access jobs, it feels like it could work pretty well.
But with the excavator, do you like just have it when you need it, or do you leave it on site on a particular job so then you're using it more often?
Yeah, I feel like it's a really tricky one. So we generally will leave it on site. So obviously with the excavator, it is good because you can fill up barrows and stuff like that, which is very handy. However, it is quite a large investment when you don't use it on every site. Quite often we do jobs in areas where you have tight access as well. So like there are obviously other landscapers out there who hire them instead of buying them, which I feel like is probably not a bad idea, but you can sort of mount a case for each way, can't you? It's almost like the whole which way do you work as well? Do you do everything in-house or do you outsource stuff? I feel like landscaping is quite variable and there's probably no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever you think is the best fit for you. In that regard, we generally do most of our own stuff in-house and we found it works for us because it means we can keep our quality to where we want it to be and that attention to detail. But we've definitely had times where we've spoken about potentially outsourcing more if you've got a fair bit of work on and using trusted sub trades. So yeah,
Yeah, that's the tricky part is finding ones you trust.
I
Mm.
know, I know, I know, and it's hard, isn't it? Because yeah, I mean, you can trust them, but at the same time, you've got to be pretty organized to make sure you're booking them all in advance. And
Yeah.
if you've got a few projects on at a time and you know how quickly they change on site, Joel, like when you need something done, a lot of the time you need it done yesterday, basically. So it is hard to call on those trusted trades because no one's that forgiving a lot of the time.
Yep. And if they're good, it's not just you who wants them either.
Yeah,
Mm.
They're in
exactly.
demand.
Yeah, yeah,
Sure.
spot on. And I feel like landscaping, the reason a lot of people get into landscaping is because it's such a broad scope of works and everyone loves the fact that they're doing something different every day. And in terms of our team, like we've got a very career, I feel like a very career driven sort of team and everyone's quite tight knit. We've known a lot of our staff for quite a while and almost had yeah been friends with them in the past or whatever it may be. So we've got a team that we see will be with us sort of long term, and everyone's sort of got clear goals that look to achieve throughout working with us. So I feel like if you just went to like a subby model, it would become I don't want to say it would become boring because it's probably not true, but I mean, you obviously probably won't learn as many skills as what you would if you were doing everything. So I
Yeah.
feel like we want to constantly upskill our team. So
And speaking of goals, do you have any like long-term plans that you're looking to go towards? Like, do you plan on growing more than 7 staff on site?
yeah, I feel like we haven't really sat down and actually we talk about goals every day, really, but we haven't probably sat down and actually structured a plan up or anything as such. But I feel like from a staff point of view, it's definitely one of the best things about being in business is hiring staff and it's so rewarding. Like I feel like being able to create an environment where everyone enjoys coming to work and gets on with each other is probably the pinnacle, really. It's awesome, I feel.
And most
However,
people think staff is the worst part of business.
well, it can be, well, really, yeah, it can be both. But I feel like overall it is quite rewarding. In saying that, I feel like we don't really want to like yeah we don't want to have too many staff by any means. I feel like it just depends, like if you find someone who's the right person who you think will fit in with the culture of the company and do a good job. I feel like even if you're not hiring you still hire them because the industry doesn't have heaps of, I don't know, people just aren't getting into it as much as what they may have in the past. So we're finding anytime we advertise on Seek and stuff, it is
Mm.
very slim the applicants that you get. So anytime that an opportunity arises to hire someone that you think would fit in well, I feel like you've got to consider it. But yeah, in terms of growing too much more, I think we just want to continue sort of doing higher end detail work. And I feel like if you're doing too much, it's hard to keep that attention to detail. So
Yeah, because and then the more staff you get, the more times you have to just the more you have to turn over to make a profit. So then you have to take on jobs that you wouldn't really want to take on, and you just need to
Yeah,
get them done. And yeah, you
spot
sort of
on.
create a rod for your own back.
Yeah, yeah, spot on. Spot on.
How many are at formation? Do you know? Like, have you spoken to Chris about that in your chats?
I think he still runs. Ever since I was working with him, he was always kind of running three teams of three usually. And I think he had two designers on board
Yep.
and like a project manager, and then himself.
Yeah, because you talk to
Yeah,
some businesses who like they're like that, and then they dial back to just four staff and say that they make the same amount of money with less than
yeah,
they did when they had more. So I
yeah. It
suppose it
wouldn't
depends.
surprise me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Less headaches too, probably.
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I think when you got like if you've got I don't know if it's three or four staff, you need to assume that one of them is going to be off for one day every single week,
Mm,
just because of the law of averages.
yeah,
We look. I feel like we've been very, very lucky with our
yeah,
team. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like there's always things in business that are frustrating and that can be challenging. But for us, we've just been quite lucky, and I'm sure it'll come where we'll have more grey hairs about staff. But I don't know. I just feel like we've got a really good team, and no one really takes the piss at all ever. And yeah, I feel like they've all sort of bought into the company. Like one of our lads, he's a really good footy player, and he's the captain of one of the local footy teams around here. He did his hammy over the weekend, and really any bloke could have basically taken sick leave or not come to work, and we were paving as well, so it's not the best job to be doing,
Actually, the
and
worst job that we do.
it's the
yeah,
worst job, and basically called us straight away, and he said, "Mate, I'm spewing. I've just done my hammy. I'm still keen to come into work, but like I'll probably just have to take it easy." And we're just like, "Mate, honestly, like if you want to take time off, that's fine. But if you think you can do light duties, like we'll be able to find stuff for you to do." But like
mm,
I feel like any other person could easily, I wouldn't even say take the piss, but any other person could easily take time off for that. But like for him to still want to come to work, like I feel like it's yeah, pretty lucky in that regard, really.
yeah. He
Yeah,
rang us like just after the game. I reckon he rang us at Saturday at like 6 o'clock.
yeah, yeah. It's the first thing you
So
thought of.
yeah, yeah, it literally was. So mm,
Yeah, I've had employees who have said like they get injured and then they say I'll come back, but the doctor said I can only do light duty. So is there anything you think I could do? I said no. We're still landscaping, so light duties doesn't
Yeah,
exist.
that is true.
What you want to do? Sweep the floor?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. Last question for you both is who do you think would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. It is one that we did sort of have a bit of a think
yeah,
about, to be honest, didn't we?
yeah,
Because it
yeah.
is notorious on this
Well,
podcast.
I'll need two as well. You need one each. You can't share.
I'm taking.
Okay. So I think and I yeah, I have absolutely nothing to do, haven't had anything to do with them in the past, but I love listening to designers in particular, and then love listening to other landscape businesses that are really kicking goals and further along in business than what we probably are. And I haven't heard much from Normark Landscapes out probably more the sort of northern suburbs or western suburbs. It looks like they've got a really cool business. It looks like they're smashing it now with commercial as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'd love to hear from them and just see if there's any little nuggets that we can take out and try and implement into our business.
Yep. All right.
And I think mine would be Josh and Eleanor from Creo Moto. They're just merging at the moment, I think, together. And I think we're starting to do a little bit of work for them. And I think they both came from two really good companies. And I think they got big things to come.
Well,
So
they a design company, are they?
yeah, yeah,
So Eleanor had a Power Studio,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, Josh has got Creo Muto, and they're sort of merging at the moment and working together. And I think yeah, so they came from Eckersley, and they'd also done a bit of time at Peachy Green as
yeah,
well, I believe. So
yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
pretty good background there, and they're just I feel like yeah, above all, they're just awesome people. So they'd be really good to have on the podcast. But yeah, their designs are sick too. We've got another one coming up in Yarraville soon, so always love working with them.
Well, my first question would be, what does that name mean to them?
Yeah, I know, I know. No, Eleanor's told me. I think it was Latin for something. I
I assume it's
forget.
create something.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, must be. Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm pretty sure it was Latin for something.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming on. I always enjoy chatting to two people at the same time. It's always interesting hearing both sides of the story. But yeah, it's pretty cool hearing how well such a young couple of brothers are doing as well, and doing it together. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story.
Thanks for
Awesome.
having us,
Yeah,
Joel.
thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
having us, Joel. Awesome. Thanks, mate.